the Demon Slayer Infinity Castle movie. Holy moly, there's a lot to talk about. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing the movie and giving my thoughts and takes on it, with both a spoiler-free and a spoiler section. Timestamps for those will be in the description below, as well as a big warning bar for when I actually do go into spoiler territory. So if you enjoy my takes on the movie, feel free to like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me because I invest a lot of time and effort and passion into these videos. It would be a perfect way to let me know that I'm doing a great job. Thanks a lot. Also, before we get started, I'm trying something new here, have a different camera angle. So if you enjoy this little style change up, then also let me know in the comments. Thanks. In terms of animation, we all knew that this was going to be top notch. And it not only reached that level, but it went beyond my expectations. The Infinity Castle dimension was executed perfectly. The fact that they made the space seem like it was truly infinite was a hard task to pull off, but it was done beautifully. It was pure chaos because there's a lot of building structures put in, going in every direction. The fine detail was added to everything. I'm not kidding when I say that there was so much structural details to the floors during the fights that it was catching my eye because they're so clean that they were shiny and reflective. Whoever the janitor is, they need to come over to my house because I wish my floors looked like that. Now would be a great time to talk about lighting because that was used very effectively for both the structures and my next topic, mood. Every single building had lighting even when the things were moving around in all directions. It was truly stunning. It's really hard to describe, but the lighting was very dramatic to say the least. I'll show some still images while I'm discussing this to help explain what I'm trying to convey. They could have easily just done characters with walls and the Infinity Castle moving around in the backgrounds, two-dimensional like. What they did was use lighting from above, behind, from certain directions, and use them all in specific times to make a scene more intense and dramatic. You can see the highlights of light on the characters, and it was super realistic. I have a bachelor's degree in photography, and lighting is a big part of photography and cinema, so I can really understand and appreciate this creative choice because they're taking the methods of real-life photography and using it in an animated piece. I'm not saying that this hasn't been done before in anime, but it just has not been done to this level. The entire fights with Akaza and Doma's locations utilized is the best. The lighting made these fights way more insane, and the color also played a big role in this as well. The lights were not just white. A lot of lighting from behind characters were blues and reds. These creative choices help make a mood with color in ways that plain colored background could just not achieve. Let's take Akaza's fight for example. He was shown a lot of times with blue lighting. Why could this be? So blue is a cooler temperature setting. Using this blue here for Akaza helps make his presence more chilling. Tanjiro states that the first time he saw Yutaro, his body was trembling so bad because he was in the presence of a strong demon. So this can be symbolized with just a simple color choice. It's also further helped because his compass needle ability is a snowflake, which I absolutely love because when he's illuminated from the ground with that technique, it is insanely cool. On the contrary, Tanjiro is depicted a lot of times with red, the polar opposite of Akaza, so that helps show the clash between the characters by just a simple color choice. It could also symbolize his sun-breathing techniques with the Hino Kamikaze, and you could say that the red symbolizes the flame inside him that Rengoku put in there. Lastly, for the lighting and color effectiveness for creating a mood is Doma's location in the Infinity Castle. It was a fun and creative choice because the lighting was done in a way where it appeared like the lights were coming from a high ceiling, and I could really appreciate that. The light was faint and the characters on the ground were illuminated in that way. If you have a dim light setting, it would be like turning on a light half or even a quarter power compared to the full brightness. It was dark, but you can still kind of see. I will elaborate this more on the spoiler section, so just take my word for it. It was pretty awesome. In terms of pacing, I thought it was pretty good. It's a hot topic because IGN rated this movie a 6 out of 10 because of it. Enter rant mode. The movie followed the source material, so I think it was a good choice, and I feel like other manga readers of the series would agree. The writing is the biggest critique for the series because, as you can see, we barely got to see most of the Hashira in action until the ending of the story. Sorry, Nezuko. I wasn't really a fan at first, but I'm one that just kind of rolls with the punches and takes things as they are, and then finds value in the decisions that were made. So my take on how the backstory affects the pacing of the fights will be different than most. The flashbacks are important on how the things unfold and give you valuable character info in the heat of the moment. The tactic for developing a personal connection with the character you might not have had before as the events unfold creates a unique first-time experience that I have not seen done before in other animes. We've all known the Hashira since around episode 20, and then the Upper Kizuki since the Swordsmith Village. So we are just now starting to get background info and interactions with these characters, where before they were just shrouded in mystery. It's not the typical approach to a show, but it creates a one-time and unique experience that people aren't used to, and then when someone takes you off the beaten path, people flip out. This is one of many things that I think makes the series unique, and I wish people would take more time to appreciate little details like this. And rant. So we've discussed lighting dynamics, animation, and pacing, but there's one last thing I want to discuss before the spoiler-free side. The fights. But they were intense. I feel like they had spent a good amount of time on each fight without cutting any short or dragging them out too long. I do have one more complaint, but it does not have anything to do with the movie production. It's about the AMC exclusive cups and popcorn boxes. I bought mine in person the day of the movie. It came to my attention that people are scalping these. If you're a vile worm that lives and operates for scamming people like this to fill your pockets, I hope that... Yeah, I better not. This video might get taken down for threatening people, and I'm not gonna do that. The best way to stop these scalpers is to not buy from them, and to make sure that you're following the right account so you know when and where these cool collector pieces like this are going to drop. So was seeing the Infinity Castle worth it? Abso-freaking-lutely. My experience of seeing this on the big screen and how it was done was truly stunning. The animation was so far out there, and no other previous season of Demon Slayer looks like this. It literally took me a couple days for it to really digest and to really appreciate the small things. So this video was not rushed for timing purposes. These are all my genuine thoughts. This movie ranks 11 out of 10 for me. Great movie, and is a must-see for any Demon Slayer fan. So if you're one who has not seen the movie yet, now will be your time to hop off. Check out the other Demon Slayer videos in the description and then the time card right here. So I had a problem seeing the day-to-day movie recently because I knew that they were only covering the first 3 episodes of the newest season. The whole time I'm pondering when it's going to end because there's no way in hell that they can finish this whole arc in 3 episodes. And it didn't. It would have been a better choice just to do the whole arc and not 3/4 of it. So why am I bringing this up in a Demon Slayer review? Based on the advertisements, we knew what fights were going to be happening and with who going into this movie. Manga readers already knew what was going to unfold, but the anime onlys didn't, and I feel like they were spoiled before they even got a chance to see the events unfold. Akaza and Tanjiro should have been the only one in my opinion, because the anime onlys knew nothing of who Shinobu was after to kill, and the reason Zenitsu was locked in. Those are kind of big spoilers in my opinion. It would have been a bigger shock factor in theaters for those who did not know. Part 2 of knowing what's going to unfold. I figured that they would have finished the fight with Doma and Kano. Based on the math of the chapters remaining, dividing into 3 separate parts, I felt that they should have finished the fight and it would have been good pacing for the remainder of the movies. But instead it feels unfinished, so to speak, with now viewers having to wait another 2 years until they get to see the fight with Doma and Kano. It's not like there's not enough subject material for the next movie, given the fights that are going to occur. I'm sure we all would not have minded the fight with Kokushibo to be dragged out a little bit more to fill in the time that they needed. And I'm sure we've all seen the Lord of the Rings movies, so another 30 minutes to tack onto this first movie would not have mattered. Well, maybe not for the people who have small bladders and have to pee all the time. That right there is my biggest complaint. The lack of clarity for the Doma fight. That bandage will just have to be ripped off again for me and be reminded of Shinobu's death. Speaking of Shinobu, they did my girl right in this movie. They made her look like a complete badass when performing Dance of the Centipede, 100-legged zigzag. They shown her in slow-mo going past Doma upside down various times, showing off her beautiful butterfly hairpin, and it was fucking great. That was not in the manga, and whoever came up with the idea of her doing that just needs a giant freaking raise. Let's address the topics that I wanted to elaborate on from the spoiler-free side, because I have kind of forgotten to address topics mentioned earlier in videos in the past. Lighting in Doma's area. We got a flashback of his past where he was the leader of a religious group. So the tall ceilings kind of give that feel of a religious place to me, as a lot of churches and cathedrals were tall buildings and have high ceilings. It also makes the moments with Shinobu and Doma a little bit more realistic and has a religious feeling to it with what seems to be fate bringing them together, given their connections to Kane. Back to the backstory thing. This was highly important for the defeat of Akaza. Again, it followed the source material, and the author chose to invest the amount of time into the story for the people. So for the people who felt that it was too long, then I don't know what to tell you. It conveyed the message, and I'm sure it touched the hearts of many. Without this context, his defeat would have made 0 sense. The last topic I wanted to cover is how well they replicated some of the more famous manga panels, specifically Tanjiro beheading Akaza, Shinobu tugging at her Haori, and piercing Doma through the ceiling, and then Akaza's beat up body before he dissolves. The best executed was the beheading scene with the use of animation and lighting techniques, and it was just truly magnificent. They portrayed Shinobu's scene reminding of Doma, where her Haori came from, pretty well, and that weight was not only carried by the animation team, but the voice actors. If they did not nail that part, then it would not be as effective. Erika Harlacher brought Shinobu's voice to life, and her performance is also what partially made me really love Shinobu as a character. I cannot wait to see this dub, because I really would love to see her performance in this movie. A detail I noticed too was they actually had Murata not be useless. Wow! In the manga, they showed him slaying a demon while Yushiro was tending to Zenitsu. This panel shows Murata complaining that its neck is too hard, but never actually shows him slaying the demon. It was only implied. This is a small detail, but Kanao has always just looked plain and boring, almost as if she was just a basic ass character. I don't know what they did to her, but goddamn, did she look intense and way more lifelike in this movie. Another barely known character that's about to get some action. That about wraps up my thoughts on the Infinity Castle. Let me know what you thought of this movie and if you are hyped up to see the upcoming ones. Thanks for watching. Feel free to check out these videos in the end card and have a wonderful day. Peace out.